Recording this video after close of trade Monday the 11th of March 2013. Well, what a bizarro day. It was so slow, like treacle today. Not very much volume kind of going through, but it was just tiresome. In addition to that, here in Hawaii we have not time changed. Everybody else has time changed, but because we're close to the equator we don't time change here. And so start of my day started at 3:25 a.m., which is tough, but there are some compensations to trading in Hawaii, so I'll take it. And what to say, no video last week. I don't know, I just didn't feel like doing a video last week. I had two bad days trading. Monday and Tuesday were bad for me last week, and I had to put my head down and get myself out of a hole. So and then Thursday was expiry. So I actually had 3 losing trade days out of 5, but finished the week break even. So just keep your losses short, and when it's not going your way, just stop and don't do anything. So and I don't know, I just didn't feel like putting up videos. Sometimes I feel as if whatever, I didn't feel like putting up a video. Anyway, so let's talk about some charts. Today's activity, 0.9 million contracts traded. Back on the expiry day here, you can see here it shows virtually no volume here. That was just because this is a continuous contract, and that's the front month that was being traded on that day. When you add in the expiring month and the front month, it ended up about 1.1 million contracts traded. So as we're making these new equity highs at 1550, here you can see the volume just dropping off to very little kind of going on. And what do I think about this? I mean, it is new equity highs. I don't begrudge the market kind of going up. I care what it does each day, not what it's doing kind of bigger picture. I'd like to be right. I like to be able to call it right, but if it doesn't, I don't beat myself up over it. And that's what's been going on this week. Last week broke out to new equity highs, and this week, looks like we're kind of testing into those, but losing juice as we're going through here. Now, over the last several weeks I've been going on about kind of left shoulders being made, so I need to kind of just follow up on that and just show you what's actually happened, because some of the indices have formed left shoulders and we're making pullback to end of trend sequences, but the futures haven't. So let's just roll through those quickly. So this is the index, this is the S&P 500 index, and this was kind of the area. Let me just go back to the Emini chart. This was the area that I was saying this is a left shoulder. I'm looking for a decent sell-off into a pullback level where we make pullback to a final end of trend. Well, with this kind of sell-off activity, that's kind of the end of trend pullback level that we actually got on futures. The way it printed on the cash market was the index itself it printed as a pullback late in the series here, and we're going on to make an end of trend up here as we're making kind of Rambo patterns at these highs. I like to see these pullback levels kind of pick out the low of that little retracement, but when it doesn't do that, what it shows is the market is really strong, and so it wasn't quick enough to catch that little low down here. We didn't have a decent kind of sell-off for it to be able to kind of pick out that low. It just made a shallow low, kept on going to new highs, and then the pullback level kind of comes in late. Then we look at that with the Nasdaq, same kind of deal, a little bit late, not quite as bad. The Nasdaq's actually a little bit weaker of all the indices, and so the pullback levels printed a little bit late, but it's not as late on the other charts. And you can see the exhaustion selling and now the exhaustion buying that we've had here, and it's going to make end of trend at some point. Russell, I mean, this is the strength of the Russell's chart, just raced away, and so the pullback's printed really late here. It's not kind of picked off that bottom there, but again we've got a cycle cross here, and so at some point it'll print end of trend. And then here's the Dow. So Dow, we came close, didn't get a crossover, and so we haven't printed. It was just a shallow retrace, and we've kind of kept on going up, but again another Rambo pattern. And then looking at the futures themselves, there it is. So this crossover came super close, actually didn't cross over, and so the strength of the trend just means that continues kind of to the upside. I suppose when you look back in retrospect, these were blue professional down bars. The lows of those kind of held. We kind of broke to the upside, and so the pros were buying that little sell-off. I was expecting something deeper. Didn't happen that way. It kind of broke to new highs. So okay, that's what happened. And on the 40,500 tip bar chart the weekend before last, I was talking about this pullback to end of trend sequence, kind of, that the end of trend doesn't mean necessarily it's a reversal. Sometimes it is, but if the strength of the trend is so strong, all that means is the end of that little trending sequence, and we've now broken up out into another trending sequence. That was Monday's activity where that support level held, broke through another resistance level on Tuesday, bang, into this uptrend, continued this week into 50s on this kind of new adjusted value on the new forward front contract. So we're still going to make pullback 200 trend. I suppose who knows whether this is going to end up with an exhaustion pattern or whether it's going to end up with just a whimpering kind of no demand, kind of lack of volume at the highs, and then it rolls over that way. I'm not sure. Bottoms are marked by exhaustion patterns, and we have had exhaustion bullish divergence come in here. We've flushed out the last of the sellers here, and the market kind of continued on. So bottoms are made here. It's not good enough for a bottom to be made with no supply, but tops can top out with the lack of volume and lack of buying and no demand type patterns. And on Friday's activity with the close of last week, this is where we got the trend systems taking profits and reversing. We've had this cluster kind of go off. We had a warning that the oscillator was going to flip over with a bearish divergence on the adjusted trend values, and then a couple of days later on the Friday, the trend oscillator Thursday to Friday's activity kind of turned over, and we've reversed and gone short in the trend systems, and they've taken profits. And once again, this thing's made new equity highs, bang. As it's keep on saying when I talk about this kind of chart in the trend systems, not a line of this code has been changed in the 4 or 5 years that the system's been out there. Went through a long, kind of flatlining kind of period with a big kind of drawdown here. That lasted almost a year, this period here. But since we come out of that, this thing's just been gangbusters. So, but we have flipped over. So, as a clue as to what we might do, we might kind of weaken at some time this week, but kind of wait and see. In terms of the bond chart, this was the big surprise for me last week, the way bonds kind of sold off. Dollar index and all the FX contracts, I'm quite happy with call. Kind of dollar index, we've had strength, and all the other FX markets have been weak. They seem to be just pausing at the moment. We could have a little bit of retrace. That's fair enough, but directionally that's kind of correct. Dollar index, all the money's flowing from Japan, from Europe, from the UK into the US, and it's clearly flowing into equities. But I thought it was flowing into bonds as we bottomed out, pulled back to end of trend, and had all this bottoming activity, and this was kind of taking off. The fact that we've kind of come back so far on bonds, real surprise to me. Usually what happens when we have a breakout move jumping the creek like this, we come back into the acquisition zone here, so the bottom of that blue professional bar, it holds and we head back up. But we didn't. We cracked through on Friday's activity into the lows of that. So we're holding at the moment here. We had some buying on Friday. We've held above those lows. It's been quite extreme selling during this sequence here, but perilously close here. But remember, the Fed's in the background buying bonds. I don't think it's going to break into a downtrend because we've got that buying in the background. I don't think the Fed will allow that to happen. So they're kind of desperately holding on to it here. But the weakness here did kind of surprise me. So in terms of strength of dollar index, kind of not surprised. That's maybe just taking a little pause at the moment, and those trends will continue. But I'm watching this because this is kind of interesting how this bond market is going to, kind of hold this low. Is it going to hold this low? Do we have a crack in the equities markets? And that's the strength that kind of comes into the bond market to support this market, and we kind of come back up through these levels and kind of break into an uptrend. So kind of wait and see. In terms of today's trading activity, so I always talk about when we have Friday's activity, we sold off and we had huge number of Rambo patterns, and we had Rambo patterns on the 4500 tip bar chart. The amateurs have been trying to short this thing way too early. Consistently, whenever we've seen kind of clusters of sell signals, kind of Rambo patterns on the lows down here, the amateurs have been wanting to sell. We've seen that 2 or 3 times in the last two weeks, and each time the market catches and we kind of reverse and go the other way. And we had into Friday's close an exhaustion pattern on the 1500 tip bar chart. For a change in trend, we need to break support levels on these 1500 or the 500 tip bar chart, and I like to see exhaustion patterns during the full liquidity of the next kind of trading day in order to reverse the market. And so I was looking for an exhaustion pattern during the open of the day if this was going to be a reversal day, because the oscillator had kind of turned over on the Friday. And what we got was exhaustion selling, quite a lot of selling, trying to get this move going, couldn't break supports, and we broke to new highs. And then at the end of the day, we got those exhaustion patterns kind of coming in. So again, tomorrow's probably going to still be looking for exhaustion patterns to see if we get a reversal into Tuesday's activity, be looking for those. But the thing to do is kind of just get on board in order to wait for that exhaustion pattern. So initially I was long at 43.50, just got out at that trade at a loss of quarter of a point because it started to break down, and then kind of went short at 43.25, got out with a loss of 1 on that because it wasn't breaking down and it started to go the other way, and then got long at 44.50, and that's for me was the best trade. Got out with 3 points at 47.50, I think it was around here where the blue professional bars kind of came in, just because this thing was just so slow. I just didn't want to sit through it. So got out with 3 on that last trade and net 1 3/4 after 3 trades for the day. So I was happy that, again, considering it was an extremely slow day. And slow days, I like the market to be fast so that you know that the trade that you've taken works out quickly in your favour, that you kind of done the right thing. As soon as it kind of gets slow, I start kind of questioning things, and then I start making mistakes. But this thing, continued on, would have made the profit target at 48.50, and if I'd had the courage, holding on through to an exhaustion pattern here, I would have taken you out at kind of pullback to end of trend, and there's the pro signal exit kind of comes out even at 50s. So there we go, unexciting kind of day, and the market is extremely strong. I'm looking for it to roll over at some point. We're going to make those pullback to end of trends, but just bearing in mind that it is just very, very strong. So just have to wait and see how it turns out. I hope you traded well today. Just got long 44.50, and just looking for a trend move today. We've just been bouncing backwards and forwards. Support resistance going on here. Friday we had our exhaustion pattern. After all these rainbow patterns, we bounced off that, and usually looking for an exhaustion pattern during the full liquidity of the day. Not had one yet, and we had a bearish divergence kind of come in, didn't go anywhere. The last kind of test up, amateur up bar here, we're sitting underneath resistance on 500. Blue professional bars kind of come in, we just come back up. I was kind of buying in that potential breakout there, Rambo. We got resistance kind of in here, just looking for a little pop up in order to get that exhaustion pattern. We're just stuck in a channel at the moment, so we've tried on the downside, we've tried on the upside, so see if we get another kind of, we've got this kind of triple top going on here, just looking for break above that, take us into a little bit of a exhaustion move. So slow, 9:47 a.m. Not been doing much, and it's incredibly slow. So just long 44.50. That turned out to be a Rambo kind of breakout here, but we'd come back down on the other side at 43 with more Rambo patterns, and we're down bars. So we're stuck in this channel. The amateur activity kind of top and bottom, but just looks to me like it wants to pop through 44 and a half. So see, it was about 11,000 on that, kind of moved down, so there's quite a lot of selling there. We kind of backed out from it. Alright, we're at the top end of the channel. New high for the day, 45 even. 3 blue professional bars here on 500. It's like a wedge pattern, just waiting to break for a little bit of a explosive move to the upside. This was an exhaustion selling signal. Amateur down bars, number of people trying to sell down. It's going to bounce the other side. So if that's a little gathering pattern, let's put in a little resistance line, kind of break above that, get into a trend move, pull back to end of trend. So no blue professional bars at the highs here, but this looks like a little bit of a gathering pattern, kind of waiting for an explosive move. Okay, there we go. It's kind of showing the strength of the buying going this way. So let's see if we get a pop. Well, we got the pop, broke above resistance 500 into a trend move here, so that was a little gathering pattern here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little blue bars on 500. So above resistance here into a trend move, 10,000 on better momentum, just showing the strength of the buying. Looking for 48.50, I think, which would be above this high, which seems a bloody long way away considering what we've done today is 3 points top to bottom so far. So let's see. Right, we're back up to the breakout. We're above resistance on 500. Blue professional bar kind of comes in. Had these amateur up bars and thought maybe kind of testing it, but we didn't break support. Gone the other way, another blue professional bar here. So this is jumping the creek. Hopefully, seen no blue professional bars. Got resistance here on 1500. We're above resistance. We're at resistance. We're above resistance. So just looking for a little bit of a pop still. So slow. A bunch of blue professional bars coming, 1500 tip bar chart, 4500 tip bar chart. We're above resistance here. Just looking at this final kind of blow off move just to mirror this kind of reading. Target's 48.50, and on a little bit of a stop run or whatever we could get there. Slow as though. So a little bit nervous to be seeing this, almost more like a profit taking at this than kind of buying the breakout, I thought. So tempted to just move my target to 46.5 and be done for the day, so let's just watch it for a bit. Move a target to 7.5 just because I'm getting tired of this, and this previous high was 7 even up here, and just on a little bit of a stop run above there could get just pushed out at 7.5. I don't know why it's so quiet today. It's 11 AM. I suppose we had time change, but I don't think that makes any difference. So just flat top. Market doesn't like flat tops, tends to kind of spike. So just hoping for a spike up to 7.5. So out at 7.5, excellent. Just on a little bit of a stop run, kind of above 47s. So that's for 3. So done for the day. 1 3/4 points after 3 trades. So slow. I don't quite understand why it's been such a slow day. But anyway. Check it at the end of the day, see what everybody's saying.